All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Teach One podcast. I am blessed and joined today by Miss Sharman Injerd, who is the director, founder, principal, Miss Everything for Mission Sea La Luz School, K6 School in Tambo, Ecuador. How are you
Hey,
today?
doing well. Thank you. And I thank you for the honor of being on the podcast with you. This is so much fun. I've been looking forward to it.
I've been looking forward to it as well since we just met in Las Vegas not too long ago. I've been very intrigued by what you got going on in Ecuador. I'm like, what? We got a school in Ecuador. We're doing our things. Can you just start with the location that you're in right now?
Okay. Oh, I'd love to. I love to. Uh, you have to bring an oxygen tank actually to come up here. we are, we are, like I said, we are snuggling in the clouds right now. It's the opposite season that you guys are in. We're on the southern end of we're on the bottom of the earth. And we're at 12,000 feet in the Andes, right on the continental divide and the equator, the 4
Okay.
points. Um, the peak, the pass is at 14,000. We live at 12,000 on the side of an active volcano.
On the
And
side of an active volcano. My
yes.
goodness, this is going to be good.
Oh,
Pick it.
yeah. She's sleeping. But she rumbles, she talks to us.
Okay.
Um, we are on the equator, so we don't have snow. Praise God.
Okay.
Uh, but it's on, we can see it it's over there on the mountain. That's wonderful. Can stay there. We're in the rainy season right now, so we have about 3 months of constant drizzle, rain, cloud.
Mm.
And you guys take off the summer when it's the hottest. We take off the rainy season when it's the wettest because we have a lot of landslides. The mountains are unstable. And
Wow.
so with all the rain, the road closures are constant. Um,
Okay.
last year we had a disaster in our own little village. We're in a bowl. Uh,
Hmm.
that's why the village is here because it's a kind of like the bottom of a crater. Um, and there was a landslide and killed one of our precious people. Uh,
Sorry to hear that.
it
Sorry to
was
hear.
it was amazing. I mean, it ate cattle, horses, sheep. It was just like, huh, huh. But anyway, God is helping us recover from that. But anyway, so we don't usually do school in the rainy season because it's
Not a
it's
It's
not
dangerous.
comfortable.
It's not good. Right. Well, I hear you. We're gonna get into more about your location and what you're doing up there in the mountains of Ecuador, but we want to start with your foundation. Where are you from?
Okay, I was born and raised in Southern California. I'm a preacher's kid. My daddy was a preacher, pastor. Started a little church. I was okay. Pasadena is where I was actually born. I spent the first few years in Baldwin Park, California. And my daddy started a school, primary school, with the church. Yeah, it's a Baldwin Park Christian school. And I was the loose cannon of the school. I'm not a bad kid, but
Okay.
definitely not contained. I kind of, you never knew what I was going to do. I still kind of walk in that. I don't know what I'm going to do either. Yeah, kind of does that. Um, it was a good school. I don't know if I learned anything except, I did learn to read and write, which was very good.
Of course. Right. Right.
And it was a very safe place. But back then in the 50s,
Yeah.
things were pretty safe. I mean,
Okay.
it was fine. Um, my teachers, uh, the kindergarten teacher, I remember her, I think her name was Mrs. Crandall. She was, she was older and very concerned, and this affected me, very concerned about, my social awareness. She told my mother that on my IQ test, I preferred monkeys to people. And she was very concerned that I would turn out okay. I mean, of course, she couldn't say very much because I was the pastor's
Right,
kid,
you
so, I mean,
of the
she could
school.
only kinda hint around, but my mother told me that, "Ha, ha, ha, ha," but that soured my whole attitude as an adult. It soured my attitude on the IQ test, and when I became a teacher, I had to administer the IQ test,
Yep,
back in the '50s and the '60s. No, I taught in the '70s, sorry. I taught in the '70s, um, but I would never tell the parents the scores. I would never tell them anything about the IQ test. I had to
okay.
do it,
You had
but
to
to
do it just because it was part of what you had to do.
right, it was like the ITBS. You had to do the ITBS, and, I did the IQ, and I just said, "Pfft," doesn't say anything.
And that came all the way back from your
Kindergarten,
experience, from what your teacher told your parents?
yeah,
Okay.
and yes, it's true. I'd rather play with monkeys than with people. I'm sorry, it just works that way.
So she was right.
She was right, but I didn't appreciate the test.
So, what happened in that you didn't go to that was your elementary school? Did you have a middle school that was different or a high school?
No, I went to this school through 8th grade.
Okay,
Um, I started early. I started when I was, like, 4, kindergarten, and then, I skipped 2nd grade, so I'm now 2 years ahead of myself. Uh, 4th grade, I had as I remember him, Mr. Sudden, and he was a 0. I don't know why I remember him because he was so 0. Then in 5th and 6th grade, I had a teacher called Mrs. McGuire, and she affected my whole teaching thing too. Um,
okay,
she was a good woman, and I think she really wanted to teach, but she was very non-creative, especially in discipline. And being the A-type personality that I am, uh, I'm not a rabble rouser, but I was constantly talking and just kinda underline the kid that teachers pull their hair out because,
yeah, yeah,
"Why
yeah, yeah.
would you
So,
stop it?"
were we doing corporal punishment back then?
Yes. Oh, so this is it. So she would say, "All those" now this is 5th and 6th grade. "All those who are standing all those who are talking, stand up." Well, I always stood up because I was always talking.
Yeah, yeah,
And she said, "Line up at my desk." So we would all line up at her desk. She'd get out her ruler and she'd bend over and she'd give us all a swat.
yeah.
So I got my daily swat with my daily vitamin. But what it did was it didn't matter. Um, I learned that public humiliation is really nothing. It's like, who cares? I also learned that helped me in high school because I had a real traumatic, could have been a traumatic incident in high school with
Okay.
by a teacher who did the public humiliation thing. But I had this already in my being that it's not. I'm not going to let it affect me because it means nothing. And then as a teacher, I realized that you have to ask God for a lot of strategies to do uh, student um, individualized student discipline, basically, because some kids need a swap and some kids you just look at them cross-eyed and they're done.
They're
I'm
done.
good.
Yep,
So anyway, that really helped me actually. The SWAT a day. Okay.
yep. So
Um,
so that teacher made an impact on you for what particular reason?
public humiliation. I
Public
mean, because
humiliation.
well, I mean,
Okay.
she never called us names or anything, but we all got
Right.
swats.
Y'all got
And we
swatted in front of the other kids that were there.
yeah, we all lined up and we all got spotted. And then one time she got so tired of it not having any now think about this. She
Yeah.
got so tired of it not having any effect on us that we were always
Right.
talking anyway and messing around. She finally said one time, "Okay, all those who are talking, stand up." I stood up, a bunch of us. She said, "Line up on my desk." So we did. And then she held out her hand. She gave us the ruler and she said, "Now you swat my hand."
Oh,
And I
what
thought
kind
to
of a
myself, that's stupid. Why is she doing that?
wait, so What happened? Did you guys do it?
Yeah, we had to. No, I mean, we took the ruler and we touched her hand. We
Right,
didn't
right, right,
swat
right,
her.
right, right.
But I thought, that didn't do what you wanted it to do, woman.
Right, right. She must have been going through some stuff. That's I haven't heard of that one before.
No, I didn't
But
either. Anyway,
so
so
what
that
was
was
high
the
school like?
high school. Well, I graduated, I graduated when I was from 8th grade with honors, actually, which
Mhm.
is amazing. But I was 12 years old,
Yep,
and
because you started school early and got skipped as well, so 12 years old going into high school.
ninth
Whoa,
grade,
whoa.
public school. Now, it was white middle class, white upper middle class.
Mhm.
So we didn't have a lot of, and it was a good community. This is Glendora, California. Very good community. Um, so there wasn't really there wasn't a lot of problems there. Um, it was the era when they did Happy Days. Did you ever watch that series, Happy Days?
Of course I watch Happy Days. Of course I did.
That's my high
Fonzie,
school.
that's
Fonzie,
your
yeah.
high school
We
kinda
had
thing?
a
Yeah.
we had a Fonzie.
Oh,
And
you had somebody
yes, we
like
had
that,
a
the
Fonzie.
cool guy. Yeah,
Yeah. And this is before Fonzie was actually was a thing, because
yeah.
we were living it. And he had his motorcycle. And he was a greasy reeker, he
Yep,
had the grease in his
research, yep.
hair,
Mhm.
and he actually befriended me because I was so innocent, so out to lunch, I had no clue about anything in the world, I was just and so
Yeah,
he made sure that nobody bothered me.
okay.
He put a ring of protection around me, and, he wasn't an he was nice to me.
He was nice to you.
Yes,
Right. But he
but
was a bad boy. He was a bad boy, though.
he was a bad boy. Mhm. Which God is so awesome. He took care of me. Care of me. Oh, that was crazy. Um, that was crazy. And
Okay, so
then
this is high school, right?
this is high school, yeah, and then, I was the youngest graduate in the history of the school, big deal. Um, but my junior one of the drawbacks, I guess, of being that young is driver's education. Everybody went through driver's education between your sophomore and junior year. Well, I signed up. I'm going to, yep. I get behind the wheel. I can't see over the wheel. I'm driving. And yeah, the kids in the back seat, the teacher goes, all right, we're going to go on. He says, no, turn here. And so we turned here, and it was the on ramp to the freeway. I can't see over the
Oh.
steering wheel. I'm terrified.
Mhm.
So I'm punching the gas. I said, I can't see anything. I don't want to go on the freeway. We're zooming up on the freeway. The kids in the back seat are going, we're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. So teacher takes over and he gets us off. He takes us out for our lunch break and he looks at me. He says, how old are you? I'm 14. He goes, 14. You're not supposed to be in this car. I said,
Yep.
oh, I am. So I did.
Did you get your driver's license at
Yep.
that time?
No, I had to wait till I was 15 and a half, like
Yep,
everybody else, but
yep, yep.
that was funny. Um, but then there was the incident in my high school that was that taught me things for my future teaching career. It was senior year, senior English. Her name was Mrs. Zastro,
Mhm.
and she was my favorite teacher. I studied for her class. I knew all the answers. I was the only one who would raise my hand. She would ask me, da, da. We had a good relationship until she asked us to do I forget exactly even what it was. It was some kind of a report. I did not understand what was required or how to do it. So, being the innovative person that I am, I went off and wrote my report. Only problem is, most of it was copied right out of books, and I didn't know I
Oh,
wasn't supposed to do that. I just
okay,
okay, because nobody had taught me, and I just
okay.
did all my stuff, and I presented my report in the middle of class one day. She called me forward. Now this is seniors in
Yep,
high school. She says, "I cannot believe you did this." She holds up my report for the entire class to see, and it has a big red F on it. F. She said, "You did this all wrong. How could you do that? I can't believe you did that."
Hmm.
And I just looked at her. Now, I felt bad. I did feel
Okay.
bad. But after my experiences growing up, it didn't it didn't scar me. I was just like, "Okay, well,
Wasn't that just you didn't like break down or cry or anything like
no,
that?
no."
Did you
I
talk
went back
back
to
and
my
get in trouble?
no, I went back to my seat. My girlfriends were
Okay.
I had a couple girlfriends in the class. They were horrified. "I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. What did you do?" I said, "I don't know what I did. I just handed in the 8." And yeah, well, when I got home, I told my mom. I was upset because my favorite teacher had just given me an F. I'd never gotten an F before. And so my mom called the school, and I don't remember exactly what happened, whether she apologized or not, but it it made me as a teacher realize that uh you have to be really careful.
Mhm.
Words words scar for life.
Mhm.
Uh if I hadn't been as tough as I am, they call me the tough bird.
Okay.
She's a tough old bird. Um, it would have it could have destroyed me.
So I notice situations like that a lot just in my upbringing as well through school, and I wonder if people what people feel is the reason to do that, right? Like we say, "Oh, we're being too nice on students or too nice on kids," then they're not gonna know what the real world is like, right? It's tough out there in the real world. So if you're gonna be tough, I gotta show you, I gotta treat you like this so you could be able to handle it. But sometimes we're just kids,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Kids, um, children have a different perspective than adults.
Big
We
time.
hear things, we see things, and our little brains register, okay, this happened. I must have done something wrong. Like a story, I don't know if you heard what I said in at the conference, but I had a little have one year about 5 6 years ago at the here in Ecuador, had a 7-year-old with his mother come into the school. She wanted to enroll her child in the school. Super wonderful. Come on in. Didn't know her from Adam, and so I had her. It was opening exercises, and I have the whole school because we only have 25, 30 kids, and so the whole school meets together. We have prayer time, Bible time, devotions. Da 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 da, rules for the day. And so I said, "No, you just sit here and you watch what we do so that you know what happens here, how we conduct ourselves." And I had her sit down, and I took the little boy to the side, and I said, "I'm so proud of you. You're so brave coming to a new school." Now he's 7 years old. Okay.
Mhm.
He looks at me. He says, "I am not. I am a coward." And I went,
Well,
Okay, God, help me with this one. You're who's told you that?" He says,
right.
"My mother. My mother said I'm a coward. So I am." Okay, as a teacher, what do you say? I say,
Right.
"Okay, we're gonna have a good year." I just help. We're gonna have a good year. I know it. So,
It's
okay,
gotta be difficult coming
yeah,
from
so
different, places or different, cultures with
right.
with
And so I sent him back. I said, "Now you go ahead and sit with the rest of the kids, and we'll get started." So I went to the front of the room, and I saw his mother go like this to him to have him come and sit with her, and he refused. So she reaches out to grab him pull him to sit next to her. This 7-year-old boy, Tyrone, 7, throws himself on the ground and on the floor in front of the school, starts beating the floor with his hands and fists and screaming at the top of his lungs. The mother is totally humiliated, mortified, grabs her kids, shoots out the door, and I never see them again.
wow.
Now, he said, his mother said he was a coward. What has his little brain done? It had said, "Okay, I'm a coward. I'm going
Yeah.
to act like a coward. My mom says I am. I must be. So
Be that,
therefore, that's
yeah.
what a coward does." So where as teachers, we have to be so very careful. And I know there's all kinds of classes and stuff when we're taught this, but it really does make a difference what you say.
Big time, big time. How did you get from high school to college to wanna even become a teacher? What was the spark? Was it this English teacher that you had that it was your favorite teacher, but also humiliated you? Like, what put that spark into teaching, and where'd you go to school?
Thank you for asking. At 10 years old, um, 10 years old, yes. Um, let me go. I'm a prophet, okay?
Okay.
I walk in a kind of a my head is kind of somewhere else. At 10 years old, I knew four things about myself. One, I was gonna I'm 10 years old, okay? Remember that.
I got you.
I knew I was gonna go to a Christian college. I knew I was
Okay.
going to be an English literature major. I didn't even know what that was. I was
Wow.
going to be a teacher, and I was going to be a missionary to the American Indians.
Wow.
So that was planted in my brain. That was my
Mhm.
procedure. I did exactly what my procedure was. I got through high school and I was accepted at Westmont College in Santa Barbara, which is a um, liberal arts Christian school. That was in the 60s with the hippies and the LA riots.
Yep.
Um, I became an English literature major, got my teaching credential, and became a teacher. And then I met my husband, and I said, honey, before you marry me, you got to know
You gotta
I'm
know
going
these
to be
4 things.
yeah,
You
I'm
gotta
going
know
to
these
be,
4 things.
yeah, I'm going to be a missionary to the American Indians. I
Mhm.
don't know what that means, but I'm going to. And he goes, okay, that's cool. So we, yeah, so,
This was the '70s, right?
yes, this is the 70s. Yeah, we got married in 75. We've been married
Okay.
51 years.
Well,
Whoop,
congratulations to that.
thank you.
Congratulations to that for sure.
Yes, and he stuck with me through through missionary, the Indians, whatever. So anyway, at 21, I got my first teaching job. It was in
Mm,
South LA, right after about 5 years after the Watts riots, which were in Watts and Compton, and I had to drive through Compton to get to Linwood, which was my. It was a Christian school in an all-black community. It was uh now I'm coming from upper middle class white, and I'm just going, okay, I have now reached a different culture. No problem. The little neighborhood where I stayed, I had a friend, another single gal teacher at the school.
mhm.
We stayed in the area, and the gangs in the area, they took pity on us and they protected us, and we'd hear gunshots at night. But the
Yep.
guy said, "You yell for Tony if anybody bothers you." Yes, Tony, I will yell for you. And then after I was there for a couple of years, then I went to Pomona, California, taught at a school, and which was across the street from a big bank. Now that's interesting. It was there was a big parking lot in this school, and that's before fences. That was before any real problem with security at schools.
Mhm.
There was a problem with the bank though because it was robbed twice, and the robbers went through the parking lot
Ran through
waving their guns while the kids were at recess, and
Yep.
so the cops couldn't shoot at them. So that
No.
was yeah, yeah, it was exciting, and that was and then during my time there. Uh, There was an odd thing that happened. We had not an epidemic, but we had several cases of strange men coming off the streets. And all schools, all school classrooms have an outside door because you have to be able to evacuate,
Yep.
right? Well, these men would come into a classroom, probably at the end of the row, put a gun to a child's head and tell the teacher, "You do what I tell you to do," and he'd rape her in front of the
Get
kids.
outta here.
No, that happened several times while I was teaching in Pomona. And
Get
so
outta here.
we had earthquake quake drills and we had intruder drills. Now this is before
Wow.
we're talking before You guys are worried about guns on your school campuses.
Right, right, right.
Hey,
Yep.
this is back in the 70s. We
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
terrible. That's so traumatic though, just to even have to do a drill about that or to hear about that or for something like that to take place in front of peers and coworkers in classrooms. Oh my God, that's crazy.
it was. But we had the little kids, we had them trained. I had second and third grade most of the time, and we had them trained. If somebody walks in that back door, you two have to go to the bathroom immediately. You leave
Yep.
without asking, and you run to the principal.
Because your schools, if I'm picturing this right, they weren't like connected like one big indoor school. They were like outside doors to the outside.
Yes, at the other, yeah, to the outside. There was no protection. Then after that school, I went to inner city, taught in the projects area.
Hmm.
And it was just at the time when there was this mass influx of refugees from Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam came in to LA, and they sent all the children, all these little non-English speaking children into the projects. And we must have gotten 100 of them. And most of them came to my first grade class. No speaking English.
Right, right.
It was teacher, teacher, bafum, bafum. And that was it.
They were
But now,
trying.
yeah, now think, Tyrone. Okay, so these Asians come in. The government then evacuates all the inhabitants of the projects that are there, and they put
Hmm.
the Asians in the projects in
Yep.
all those apartments. I and then all the Latinos and all the blacks have to go somewhere else, and I'm not sure where
Somewhere.
they went, but they
Yep.
were not happy campers. So that started the race wars, and we had
Wow.
gangs, and it was just like, okay. And we had guns on the campus back then too. That was in the
I can imagine. That's
70s.
tough.
It was.
Well, as a teacher, um, wow, just because you're saying all these things, I'm sure helped guide you to where you are now. And I know you knew what you were gonna do when you were 10 years old. But those experiences have got to be something else. Did you have any, and I'm not saying this facetiously, right? Any great moments as a teacher? Like what was your proud or happy moments when you actually were teaching the kids and they were lighting up and all that good stuff?
My last year in Southern California, it was awesome. It was the year when we got the main influx. I had 32 at first grade. I had 32 kids in my classroom. I had a full-time aide, praise God, she was wonderful. But of my 32 kids, 13 of them were from Asia, no speaking
Hmm.
English. 13.
Hmm.
And then I had a potpourri of everything else. I think I had 2 white kids, and then I had everything else in between.
Yep. Yep.
And this first grade, got to teach them to read. Okay. The English, the Chinese English uh, teacher, what do we call him now? You call him second language, SL. The English SL teacher, ESL, wanted to take my Asian kids, and I said, no, they're going to stay with me. They're going to learn English here. And
Yep.
so she left me alone. And um, it was the Ronald Reagan had just become president.
Hmm.
And suddenly America was proud again. It was the patriotism was just, we were so excited. The Vietnam War was over, and we were being, and these Cambodians came in for dreams of a free life, a
Yep.
safe life. And so what I did was, um, I not only taught them how to read and understand on grade level English,
Hmm.
and math, but God told me to do a program for the end of the year. And that was something the public schools didn't do, but we did. And I taught them every single patriotic song I could find. I mean, we did Yankee Doodle Dandy and Pledge of Allegiance. We did. I mean, Mine Eyes Have Seen the Glory, Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Yeah.
We did
Right.
all of them. We did When Johnny Comes Marching Home. And I put a dance to each one of these. And I asked the dance teacher to help me. And she was wonderful. And so these kids, oh, that was funny too. As a supervisor, you'll appreciate this. In order for the kids to see my feet to do the dances,
Yeah.
I got up on the desks and I danced on the desks in front of my children. And at one point, the vice principal walked in and he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, that's Sharman." And he turned around and he walked out.
Yeah, and just keep doing what you're doing, and you're having fun with it. You're having fun with it, and your kids were I mean, you gotta have fun, and you gotta be vulnerable as an adult with kids, so get on a desk, show them what it is.
Yeah, it was. It was so much fun. And we put on a program at the end of the year. It was
Yep.
stellar. The kids were awesome. They were they were so into it. These little kids are just marching around and they're doing we did calypso. I don't do jazz because I didn't know how to do jazz. But I mean we did the Charleston. We did all kinds of stuff. We were good. Anyway,
Now let me ask you this as a teacher. We were still, because I came up in the '70s, I was born in '73, so I came up in the '70s, and I remember corporal punishment. Were you one of those teachers that had to dish it out like you had to take it back in the day?
actually, I think no. I don't think I ever swatted a child. No, I don't think so. Not until I got to Ecuador. Ecuador, I had to get the wooden spoon out.
Okay,
I have
okay.
a wooden spoon. I rarely use it, but I have a spoon.
Mhm. Wait,
No,
so
I
you
don't.
still wait, we gotta get to that. We gotta get to Ecuador. You still have a wooden spoon now in Ecuador?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's what I wanna get to that next. How did you transition from United States of America, teaching in LA, to somehow your own school in Ecuador?
Okay. Um, in the 80s, my okay, I got my master's from Cal Poly Pomona. My husband graduated with his BS from Cal Poly. So when we both got our degrees, we he got a job with the nuclear power plant in Washington State. Uh, he's an engineer, and we became very affluent and wealthy in Washington State. We had kids, and when our son was 2.5, I, I put him in a preschool. Just a very simple preschool. It was nothing. And he came home one day, 2.5 years old, and he said, "Mama, Mrs. Bennett said Mrs. Son does this." And I looked at him. I said, "Honey, we usually refer to the son as Mr. Son." He goes, "Mama, you don't know. Mrs. Bennett knows everything." I went, "Oops. No, dear, you don't say that to me." And so I decided then and there that I wasn't going to let somebody else form my child's mind or his thoughts, his thinking process. And being a teacher, I thought, well, I'm going to take this on. And there were several families in our church in Washington that had decided to homeschool. Nobody knew what that really was, including me.
Right.
And so these families came to me and said, "Would you be our homeschooling supervisor?" I said, "Oh, no, you can't teach. You're just parents. Parents
Right.
can't teach." And they said, "We're going to do it anyway, with or without you." And I said, "Oh, dear, no. No, no, you have to have supervision." So, so Washington State decided to have a pilot program because it's so new. It was right at the early 80s, and it was all brand new thinking process. And so I was the first of the pilot program to
Okay.
do this homeschooling thing. And it was such a tremendous success that Washington legislature legalized it. And so I became a homeschooling supervising teacher for many years. And
So,
it was
but the kids stayed in their own homes. You didn't gather them all in a particular place. You just like provided curriculum for them and oversaw what they did.
actually, we met once a week. And then we would do special projects together. I had to go, one of my things that I had to do as a supervising teacher was I went once a week to the homes. And I taught
Okay.
the parents how to teach. I would look over their lesson plans. I gave them the curriculum. I taught them how to use the curriculum. I taught the parents how to teach. And you need to do this. You have to do these concepts. You can't skip those. Whether you know it or not, you have to. Anyway, so I taught them how to teach, and I helped them with the lesson plans, and they were very successful.
Okay. How many people were we talking about at that time?
I tested over 400 a year, 400
Wow.
kids.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have that many in my group. My personal
Okay,
group
I understand, but that's what I'm
had
saying. Yeah.
made about a dozen families, so I made a lot of trips. My kids lived in the car with me. They would read
Hmm.
they'd have to do their math in the car. They would read to me in the car. It was it was good. Uh,
Okay, and from that, you decided to form your own school. Like we still trying to get to Ecuador.
right. Well, then in 1996, uh, God told my husband he needed to quit his job because he was spending too much time at it and not with his family. Try that.
Okay. Okay.
That's and so he did. He sent in he gave his resignation in the next day. His boss was not happy. But my husband stayed 6 months to train the next supervisor, and we didn't know where God wanted us to go. We were a couple of weeks with no destination and uh, no clue of what we were supposed to do or where we were supposed to go. And then through a series of events, God made it plain we were supposed to go to Ecuador. I said, I don't want to go to Ecuador. I'm supposed to go. I told God, I'm supposed to go to the American Indians. And he goes, what do you think they're called down there, dear? They're called the South American Indians. I said,
Okay.
not fair, not fair. That wasn't right. No, no. So we went down to Ecuador with HCJB. I don't know if you remember that. You're in communication. They were the world's largest radio station for many, many years. Private radio station.
Okay.
In the we went down in 98. Um and then we were with them for a while, and then the government became very hostile to American missionaries, so they left. And but before that, in 2003, uh God brought in the children in our village to go to high school. Had to get on the bus and go to Quito, which is at that time was like 3 hours away, and stay with family members and go to school. And their parents never knew if they would ever see them again, uh, because we're the back hills people. We're the poor people. Um, this little town, Tombo, is founded by former slaves. I find that
Mm,
interesting. These were all indigenous slaves at the hacienda,
mm.
and they
And
were
you
free.
you and your family just up and ended up there with your children um to just live life.
Yes, we live just like the people. Well, not quite just like the people do. We do
I
have
got you.
heaters in our house. They don't have heaters. I do. I have to have a heater.
Hmm.
Anyway,
My goodness.
um,
I'm just trying to take this in.
okay, so hasn't been easy. What happened was in 2003, um, God brought this woman from Quito who has a distance learning high school to come and help me with the to start like a tutoring service. That's what I had in my mind.
Okay.
I'm gonna do this tutoring service for these high school kids. And she would give them their grades and pass them, and they wouldn't have to leave home. They could just stay at their houses, and I'd see them 3, 4 times a week and be their teacher. Well, she came out, this woman, she looked around and she says, you need to start a primary school. I said, "Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm done. I'm not doing schools anymore. Consumed my life." She goes, "No, you gotta do that." Yes. I said, "If God wants me to do it, he'll do something." And
Mhm.
so she says, "Well, you fill out the paperwork." And so I did the paperwork. And at that time, Ecuador was in the middle of big crisis and everything was shut down. All the government offices, including Ministry of Education. And she took me, this woman who had contacts everywhere, and my paperwork to the Ministry of Education and knocked on the door.
Mhm.
And the guard goes, they weren't letting anybody in except the workers. Workers were all in their offices.
Okay.
And the guard said, "Maria, so good to see you. Come on in. What you been doing?" She goes, "I'm here to see so and so." "Oh, sure, come on in." And I said, I'm with her. And so I went in with her. She'd go to these offices and she'd knock on the door. "Oh, so good to see you. Where have you been?" And she goes, "I'm here."
You knew everybody. Yeah.
She knew everybody. And they'd say, "What can we do for you, Maria?" She goes, "Here, sign this paperwork, sign this paperwork." "Sure, sure." And they'd sign them. "What's it for?" "Oh, we're starting a new school." "Oh, sure. Go ahead." Now,
Just go ahead.
it's like, really? Okay, I'm starting a new school. So anyway, I went back to the village and I
Mhm.
called in um, the elders. Now these are illiterates. They couldn't read or write, and
Mhm.
they were born in slavery. The elders, till they were like in their teens, late teens, and then they were in 1968. The government freed the slaves. 1968.
Okay.
We're talking. I would be working with their grandchildren. They came in.
Mhm.
And my Spanish was horrible at that time. I'd only been there a few years, and I hadn't integrated with the people at all. Uh, and all of a sudden, I found myself surrounded by these people who had so much hurt on them, but they were so hopeful. They'd never had anybody from the outside come in and offer such a gift to their children without asking for in return. Could have been
Yeah.
whatever, your
Yeah.
land, your
Whatever.
cows,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
serve me for the rest of your life. No, I didn't ask. I didn't, I charge a very small fee because
Yep.
if it's free, if they don't appreciate free. Anyway, so I stood there in the middle and these elders were ringed around and there were like 30 of them just with, and my broken Spanish, I said, "I'm going to offer your kids." And I did it from kindergarten through sixth grade all at once.
So before you came along for this particular area in this village, what would they do for school?
Okay, the village is 5 miles, 8 kilometers, 5 miles from the nearest primary school. The primary school is down the road in a village, about 600 people in that village. Um, and they had a claim to fame. They were on the path of the conquistadores. And so most of the village had Spanish blood. They weren't indigenous. The indigenous were down at the bottom of the totem pole. We have Spanish blood, so therefore, you guys are nothing and we are everything. And they treated my people with utmost contempt, with they despised them, they beat them, the teachers treated them like trash,
Mm.
and they taught them
It just goes to show you that no matter where you are in this world, somebody's gonna see themselves as elite and
that's right.
powerful and better deserving than another group of people.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it was. And I was so glad God had put me up in the mountains and not at this village. I thought, "Bleh, you guys are horrible." And so um so the children, for our children to go to that school, which was the only school, The parents would stand on the side of the road and wait for any kind of vehicle to go down. It was a back road. And they would put them in a tanker truck. They would put them in the back of a pickup truck. They'd put them with anybody that went by, never knowing if they would see their child again, and send them off to school.
So when you say never knowing if they're gonna see him again after school, are they going to school for the day and coming back at night, or they're going for like boarding school type of experience?
No, it was a back and forth
It
daily
was back and
back and
forth, but
forth.
you never knew what was gonna happen.
No, because people went off the road all the time and crashed and burned over the side of the cliff. Children disappeared. It was just like, I mean, can you imagine,
Wow.
Tyrone, sending your child off with an unknown
Mhm.
and then knowing that they were going to go to a school that would treat them rotten and
Yeah,
despise them and then send them back? Hopefully, they would get a ride back. Excuse me.
that's awful.
Anyway, so when I presented this, they were beside themselves. They were, here in our village? You do that? I said, I think so. And I started to cry because they all started to cry because they were so thrilled. And I
Mhm.
started to cry because I thought, what have I just done?
Mm.
I can't even speak the language. I have no curriculum. I don't know the culture. I don't know squat,
Yep.
but I did it.
And how long have you been running this school?
Well, I just that was my opening day. I mean, that was my
Mhm.
debut.
And that was how long ago? So you've been that was your debut, but now it's been how long?
23 years. And
23
and 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 last year, 2025, our village of 150 people living in our village. We have 7 university graduates with their degrees, and they all came from our school. 7. We have 7.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. Thank you.
Well,
Um,
congratulations on that. And in your school now, the way it stands now, I'm pretty sure you have a building, you got teachers, grade levels. What are we talking about? What does your school look like currently?
yes, we have been so blessed. Um, we have a beautiful building on top of a hill. We're a light on a hill. Um, and the teachers that are in our school, I trained. A couple of them came as 4-year-olds, went through the school, went through high school, college,
Okay.
and now they're our teachers.
Going back.
And yeah, I have a very good staff.
Okay. And how many grade levels, how many classrooms? What are we talking about for enrollment?
Well, we have 24 kids, I think, this year. It goes up and down every year. Um, but it's actually a one-room schoolhouse. The kindergarten, last year we started with autistic kids. After COVID, the autism rate went out the roof because of the vaccine. And so there's these autistic kids that the public schools don't touch. They just put them outside the door and let them sit outside the door and do whatever they do. So we have 4 autistic kids, and I built a special classroom for them
Hmm.
so that they can scream all they want, and they have an excellent teacher, and she teaches them, and they're good. And this year we were able to take 2 of those 4 and integrate them into a regular classroom.
Okay. And then when it comes to your grade levels, they only go up to grade 6, right?
Yes, we go up to grade
What do they
6.
go when they finish in your school?
Uh, they have to catch a bus, and it's not as bad anymore. The roads have improved tremendously. The bus system is now regular, that there's no landslides. It's a regular, about every hour, hour and a half. You can catch a bus, and they can, I think I think one mother told me she pays $60 a month for bus transport, to and from high school. But that is open to them now. There are schools close enough that the kids can come and go every day and graduate from high school and then if they want to go on to university. But um, not too many people out here go on to university unless they know that they. One of the things we do in the school was we we instill in the children that they have a destiny, they have a
Mhm.
purpose, and they have something that God wants to grow in them so they can share, that they can be part of the bigger picture. They have something only they can do. And uh, so our kids go with the attitude of I got a huge destiny. I got to complete it. So I'm off to college or university or whatever. And it's been awesome.
That's amazing. I'm still in shock that you ended up in Ecuador and have your own school down there. Um,
Well,
somehow.
that's not all. We started in God has blessed us with funds, and so even though we are a donor based mission, and by the way, our mission is the three of us, my husband, myself, and my daughter. That's the
Yep,
mission.
yep,
We're um in 2010 we started satellite center further in like the middle of the country with the Andean Quichuas, and that was very successful. And then in 2015 I went to the jungles, at the Amazon jungle, to work with the jungle Quichuas, been to the deep jungle. That's where the spiders are. They're not
yeah, I
nice.
know you told me before you were afraid of spiders. Yeah,
I don't I don't like but I do it because the people need it. And I worked with the
mhm,
Warani. Now the Warani was a special. Remember I said, well, I knew I was when I was 10 years old, whenever I said missionary, I
mhm,
always visualized the jungle with monkeys. And as I was growing up, I kept thinking, where in America, where in the United States is there a jungle with monkeys? Because I thought I was going to stay in the United States and work with one of the indigenous tribes, one of the First Peoples tribes.
right.
That's what I thought. I couldn't figure out where the monkeys were. But anyway, that's where the Wadani, deep, deep jungle, monkeys, the caiman, the anacondas, the tapirs. Oh, it's awesome. Awesome.
My goodness.
You just bugs, bazillion bugs. Oh,
I couldn't imagine. Now, when it comes to what you're teaching now in the bigger scope of things as far as education goes, the hottest thing right now is AI, right? I imagine in your school there's some form of internet that
yes.
there's access to and some form of AI. Do you use AI in your school at all with your teachers and your students?
No. No, I'm very basic. We memorize. I don't let them use calculators. I make them memorize everything. They have to do it all in their heads. In fact, lately I've been giving the children, okay, you guys want to be storefront, because most of them have little storefronts where they
Okay.
sell Cokes or
Sell
whatever,
stuff.
or
Yep.
restaurants. And I said, okay, I'm a customer. I come in and I bought this, this, and this, and this. And I bought 5 of those, and they're at 12 cents each. And I bought 6 of those, and they're at that price. All right, here's the grocery list. Computer, there's no computer and there's no calculator. So, and here's a $20 bill. How much change do I get back?
So now you do know that basically in restaurants all over the place in the United States, that stuff is just done for you. But you're teaching it at that raw context level where they have to figure it out.
Yes. And we're doing percentages of the discounts. Okay, if this shirt has a 30% discount, how much do I have to pay for it? And the child has to sit there with her pencil and paper and figure it out.
Okay. Okay. And if I have a calculator that could do that for me, I'm not going to be able to use that.
No, I'm not going to let them. Not at sixth grade level, huh? They have to learn. They have to learn it first. I don't care when they get to colegio, high
Yeah,
school.
yeah, for sure, for
They
sure.
can, they
But you
can,
want them to get it
whatever
down
you want
now.
to do. They can
Yep,
do that.
yep, yep. I appreciate that. I'm just pulling at you a little bit when it comes
No,
to that
that's
kind
okay.
of stuff because we have those conversations all the time when it comes to resources and tools and what kids should know and learn. Like we all knew and learned when we were younger to what we kind of like, um, take away from kids as far as that. We were having a conversation about cursive today in school and should students use calculators and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, enabled them a lot in a certain kind of ways when it comes to technology. So that's what I
We
was getting
have.
at.
I try to keep it as basic as possible because Ecuador is basic. So
Yeah.
much of it is like, we still have people that they don't have cars, so they ride their horses to wherever they need to go, and we're very basic, you know. Move over, Amish. We're coming in. Yeah,
We were,
nothing on me. Yeah,
so we had mentioned before that or you mentioned before we got started that you and your daughter have a coaching um
business.
organization. Of course, yeah, a coaching business. What is that called and what do you do?
Okay, it's called Revelation Coaching. Uh, we uh, we went. I have my certification through God Talks. It's a Ed Rush. He does a coaching program. Took the course, did all that stuff, and I have my certificate. It's for life and business coaching. Um,
Okay.
the reason why I did this, and I did it last year, because I was finding I've been so concentrated on children, which is good, but now I
Hmm.
have a staff and they're excellent with children. They can do all
Hmm.
of that. They don't need me. So now I'm looking at the people in your position
Hmm.
and CEOs of the big oil companies, the tech companies. Now they're not like in the States, but they're big. They're multi-million dollar things.
Yeah.
And these guys are all in it for themselves. Every authority in the district, in the Ministry of Education, is his own little king or queen, and they treat the world as dirt.
Okay.
And I said, okay, we need to do something about that. They need to be educated in a way to help them see that this isn't helping them. It's not helping the company, and it's not helping the country. And the Lord just put this coaching thing because now it's a very popular thing and it's excellent. And it's all from a Christian perspective. We just invite God to talk to us.
Hmm.
And I'm just there kind of to give them ideas of where we're going with this. And I want them, my point being is I did this to help the country leaders really do what they're in their position to do.
So your company is based in Ecuador. Are you talking about in that region, or this coaching thing goes wherever it can?
Wherever it can. I just got a coaching client in India.
Okay. Okay. That's
Uh,
that's gotta be awesome, right? Out in India,
yeah, India.
and that's a huge difference in time zone.
Yes, 10 and a
Do
half
you
hours.
are you doing like virtual coaching?
Yes. All of this is virtual except for companies. I I will go to wherever is convenient for the company. My daughter and I, we will go to wherever is convenient and we will do sessions with the employees. Because if your employees understand that they have destiny, they have potential, they can do stuff in excellence, that
Hmm.
will that will enhance the business and the employer will gain from that.
Okay, so I think I'm getting it now, where you go in and you support different companies and different organizations and their workers to help the business thrive.
Exactly. It's individual, but the overall picture is it helps the business thrive.
Okay.
And I really want to help the government here. It's so sad. But anyway,
Hmm.
we're working on it.
Okay. What's your favorite part of the work that you do right now?
Wow, that's a big question. seeing the children reach out to others to comfort them, to pray for them, to give. The children are so unselfish here. They will give and they will give. And it's just awesome.
Okay. That's good. What's one of the roughest things I gotta hit you with this one too. What's one of the toughest things about what you do every day?
Every day. Um, wow, every day. Well, yeah. Having to discipline, I guess. Having children that refuse to come out of themselves and want to learn. I have a couple that just kind of put their heads down on their desk and doodle on their paper. And it's like, no, you're not here to do that. You're, no, would you get with the program? Anyway, that's hard.
We have that everywhere. That
I
isn't going
know.
anywhere. That's children for you. We gotta find ways to 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 get them to wanna learn. I know it's different with every child. So, one of the things that we always ask our, participants in the Teach One podcast to do is tell us what their favorite, movies or TV shows about school are, right? So, we're at that point in the program where you're supposed to produce a top 5. We're talking about, your 5th favorite to your number 1
Yes,
TV or movie show about school. So you ready with your list?
I'm ready with my list. I've been thinking about this and pondering, and I even rewatched a couple of very old movies just to make sure
Okay.
I remembered correctly. So anyway, yes, I would like to start. Okay, so 5 is the bottom one, right? And when is the okay 5? I don't know if some of these you might not know. The first one is called Rule Breakers. Rule Rule Breakers.
Rule breakers. Yep.
And it's on Angel Studios. It's about a group of Afghani uh, high school girls and a teacher. This was this has been like 10 years ago. And
Okay.
a teacher, a woman teacher, who wanted to pull her girls into more of a science. She saw the scientific abilities of these girls and how they were able to to do so much more than they were being allowed to or asked to. And so she
Uh,
started a robotics team, and these girls put together robotics, and they went to competitions. They went to I think they went to at least 2, maybe 3 world competitions. They traveled the world, and they met and they did very well. They came in like 3rd and 2nd and stuff like that, very well. Um, and they were
I
doing
never
real
heard of that.
well. Yeah, and then about 2 years after they started, maybe 3 years after they started, um, we lost Afghanistan, and, the girls can't go back. They'll lose their heads, literally, because they're educated.
Was this based on a true story?
Oh, yes, this is true.
Oh,
Very
okay.
true. And what blessed me was these girls, the teacher the teacher, it was hard for her because she got a lot of I mean, the Muslim men are not nice to women, and she got a lot of flack for encouraging girls to do things outside of the house and to think. And, anyway, so, it was encouraging because 'cause I'm in a different culture. She decided to go to different cultures. She took the girls around the world to present their projects, and I was very blessed with that, and that she had the courage to go against the flow of of her culture. So that yes, it's a very interesting movie. It gives you an insight into the Muslim thinking and in real life. Anyway, okay, that's 5. Number
Alright,
4,
4.
Facing the Giants. That's a Kendricks Brothers movie.
Okay.
It's Facing the Giants is about a high school coach. He taught football, and his whole thing at the beginning was win, 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 win. and the boys don't care, and they're flunking out, and they're
Mhm.
just there to slop around and, whatever. So then, as the movie progresses, he realizes that in order to win, you have to have a higher destiny. You have to realize that what you're doing, um, for him, it was to honor the Lord. Everything
Okay.
we do has to honor the God. And so he taught his boys that whatever we do, whether we win or we lose, we're going to honor God in our actions,
Okay.
in our attitudes, in how we play. We're going to play with excellence. And he turned his team around. Now, that's a fictitious story, but I
Gotcha.
have seen it. There has been at least one team that I saw the movie. There's a football team. I forget what university. But anyways, based on what has happened in the past, where a
Gotcha.
coach has gotten his team to think beyond their own self-edification, own self pat, 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 pat. Okay,
Now you stumped me. That's 2 so far that I've never heard of and gotta
right.
look into.
Yeah.
Your 3rd.
Stand and deliver.
Okay.
You know that.
That's been a that's been one that's been on this list before for sure. Why that movie?
Okay. I identified with Jaime Escalante. Uh, he's a passion. He was a true teacher. The passion in him wouldn't quit. He had to teach. He had to teach. He had to draw it out of the kids to make them perform to their highest level. Um, and he gave it his all. His whole thing was they have to have ganas. Ganas is desire. And he wanted them to have the desire to be all that they could be. And he pushed them as far as he could, and they met the goal. And I appreciate that. But the reason why I identify with him is because I've had to do that, pull that out. But I had a stand and deliver cross and switchblade uh, situation at a high school I taught English at in Quito. I
Wait, wait,
went
wait, wait.
once.
What you mean cross and switchblade?
The cross and the switchblade. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, that's where Wilkinson. Wilkinson is this guy. This preacher goes into New York to the hood. Now I don't profess to know anything about the true hood. I just know what I've heard. Anyway, he went into the hood to work with the gangs, and his life was threatened. And anybody that believed him or that befriended him was at risk of death. And it was so it was the cross. He brought the cross, and they brought the switchblades, and it was um, a war for souls. That's the cross and switchblade.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's Jaime Escalante that went in to pull this out of the kids. Well, I taught English once a week for many years in Quito at a private high school. And it was upper middle class. So these kids weren't poor. They weren't the hood. They weren't project kids. Um, but they had so much money, they didn't know what to do with themselves, so they went into drugs,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
formed little gang wannabes.
Yep.
And a couple of them got into deeper water than they anticipated. And
Mhm.
one time I was teaching class and I had dismissed everybody, and these two boys, about 18 years old, came back and they're beating on the door. Let us in, let us in. And I went, what do you want? And I would pray with the students during class. It was private school, so I could do that. I'd pray with them and stuff and start class and talk about God. They came in, we need more English practice. I said, class is over. Go away. And they said, no, no, we got to come in. We got to come in. And I noticed that coming up behind them were about 4 or 5 very angry young men.
Mhm.
And I'm going, okay, we have a problem here. So I let these two boys in, shut the door, and locked it. And I said, okay, what is your problem? Well, it turned out it was a drug deal that went sour,
Uh,
and they didn't know what to do with themselves. And they asked me, and this is awesome, they asked me to pray for them. I said, okay, let's pray about it. And I was able to really give them deep spiritual guidance and advice, and lead them to the Lord, actually. These two they were gang leaders. They were the number one and number two man. Um, and they left. differently, and their boys left them alone. I don't know what happened after they got off campus, after they went back to their neighborhoods, but that was my cross and switchblade Jaime Escalante moment.
Got you. Okay, so what about number two?
Number 2 was the Roy Clark story.
Roy Clark. Why does that sound familiar? I
It's
don't
a
know.
true story. He
Okay,
went
truth.
to Yeah, it's a true story. He went to New York. Yes, that's right. He was oh, he had been teaching in Virginia.
Is that Ron Clark or Roy Clark?
I'm sorry, Ron Clark. Sorry,
Ron
my
Clark.
bad.
Okay, that's why it was familiar to me. Yeah, Ron Clark. Okay, I got you. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, for me, that was courage to go to the darkest places. He wanted to go to the darkest place where it was the baddest place and to keep coming back. And he taught kids the basics, and he was very careful to teach them about words, how words hurt, how words uplift. It was a big thing about words. And I appreciated that about that movie. And then my number 1 is called Freedom Writers.
Freedom Riders. Yep.
You've heard that one. Okay, good.
Of course. Yeah, that's Hillary Swank.
Yeah, that was awesome. And what I liked best about that, what that really spoke to me was she not only got the kids to do better, I know to work for excellence, she taught them to think about others. Whereas Stand and Deliver was mainly about you. I mean, me. I'm going to do better for me. I'm going to pass the AP and go into college because I can do this. Whereas in Freedom Riders, she taught them to think about others, be
Mm,
compassionate. She taught them about the Holocaust, about
yeah,
putting your life on the line for somebody you don't even know.
yeah. I've heard that quite a few times where Freedom Riders have been on the list along with Stand and Deliver, but a couple of people have actually had Freedom Riders as number one,
Yep, that's my
like
number
yourself.
1.
That's your number one. And of course, you're an English teacher too by nature, right? So why not go with English class and writing
Yeah,
class and all that
exactly.
for sure. Yeah. Um, so how do we get in touch with you if we want coaching from you and your daughter?
Doot, 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 doot. Can I do this? There it is. Wait,
Okay,
back.
you're
back.
trying, but you got to back it up a little bit. Coaching at
Coaching at
CALaluz.net.
there it is. Saylaluz.net.
Coaching
That's
at
our
CALaluz.net.
right.
Okay.
And
And
then our website is just saylaluz.org. O-R-G.
CALaluz.org.
Uh-huh.
And the name of your school, I didn't, what's the CALaluz thing? What does that mean?
Let there be light.
I should know. I don't know why I asked that. It's so embarrassing that I didn't know that.
No, that's all right.
Um,
That's right.
let there
That's
be
all
light.
right.
Let there be
Yeah.
light. Don't kill me, all my Spanish speaking people out there. So listen, we have to wrap things up now. It has been absolutely a pleasure to have
Thank
this
you.
conversation with you, Sharman. Thank you for taking the time up in the mountains of Ecuador.
Yeah.
Um,
We would like to invite anybody that's interested in seeing the transformation power of education and the hand of God to come down. It is amazing. We still have schools running in the jungle. So if anybody
yep.
wants to go to the jungle, I can take them there. They can see these little centers with these parents that have gone through our system and are doing awesome.
Okay. And hopefully I don't know if I'm going to come to the jungle, but maybe one day I will, because me and my wife, we're traveling all over the
Okay.
place now. We're trying to travel as much as possible. So maybe I'll take you up on that.
We would love to have you come down, Tyrone. It has been wonderful to share what the story, and thank you for taking this opportunity. I mean, to reaching out to me and to find out what's happening. Appreciate it.
No, I think it's awesome. I think, only special kind of people can do the work that you do. So I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Well, you are in a very special place too. I don't envy your position at all. I'll take my little kids over principals. Bless your heart.
So that's it. That's a wrap on this episode of the Teach One podcast. But I do have some homework for you. You got to subscribe, you got to like, you got to share with your teaching besties, and then comment on your favorite takeaways. That's your homework. Seriously, thanks for tuning in and being part of this amazing community of educators. Keep inspiring, keep growing, and remember you're teaching one student at a time and making all the difference. So see you on the next episode.